Trustees report, the Congressional Budget Office, the Social Security Actuary, pretty much every study out there, we're going to have cuts in the next few years. It's estimated for 2033, 2034, about 21, 22% cuts of your Social Security. And people always ask, is this going to be, is it going to be grandfathering in? I'm already receiving benefits. Will mine be cut? Well, according to the law, the way the Social Security law is written right now, if they get only 70% of FICA tax coming in that particular month, they can only pay 70%. So that means a 30% cut. So 75% cut, 75% coming in, they can only pay 75%. What is covering the other 20, 25% or so now? The Social Security Trust Fund. So that is savings we've put away for a few decades to cover that gap. That trust fund is slowly being depleted, and we need to come up with a solution. But the problem is politicians being politicians, their number one way to stay in power is to divide us. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So I put an interesting little thumbnail up there of the President-elect Trump and President Biden having fun on the beach. And obviously, we're not going to see that. But when it comes to the American people and Social Security, this is basically us. We don't care about political parties. Well, we do because politicians make us care about those political parties. But if you actually look at the statistics, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And then I'm going to make this relatively quick, about 5 or 6, 7 minutes or so, and then I'm going to get into a live Q&A and answer any and all of your questions about all things Social Security, Medicare, and all the rest of it. By the way, if you're new to my channel, my name is Ed Weir. I ran the third business Social Security office in the country, and now I'm helping you get all your benefits and making sure Social Security is going to stay here in the future. No cuts in the future. Okay, so this just came out, the National Institute of Retirement Security, and again, politicians love to divide us. All you have to do is read some of the comments on my YouTube channel about, Ed, are you a liberal or, this or that? Are you Democratic? Are you part of the Republican Party or Democratic Party or what are you? I'm part of the Social Security Party. That's my party, Social Security and Medicare. I'm here to help you get everything you paid for in Social Security, get all your Medicare benefits, and I want to make sure it continues. So politicians love to divide us so they can stay in office, so they can not do what we need them to do. That is save Social Security and make sure it's here for the future so we don't get cuts. But if you look at the statistics, 87% of Americans agree that Social Security must remain a priority, that Social Security must be protected. And this goes across the board, across all income levels. Americans support Social Security as a priority. If you're making less than 35,000, 87% think Social Security should be a priority. It should be saved. It should be strengthened to the future so the cuts won't happen. And Democrats, Republicans, Independents, over 85% believe Social Security should be a priority regardless of anything else. And politicians always say, well, there's a budget deficit. No, there is no budget deficit from Social Security in the sense of the $36 trillion of general revenue, that, the general budget. That has no effect on Social Security at all. We are talking about FICA. Social Security will always be here as long as there are workers in America. Workers in America paying FICA tax, the Social Security tax and the Medicare tax. So as long as they're paying those taxes, then Social Security will continue. But the thing is how much are we going to get? That's the issue. And because of a couple of demographic issues, one of those is, we just had less children. So there's, less people paying FICA. But the big issue, the majority of the issue, or the issue that politicians refuse to address, is because the reason they don't want to address it is because it's going to hurt their millionaire, billionaire friends, their sponsors, their, however you want to put it there. Anyway, so because right now, if you make, for 2025, if you make under $176,100, you pay Social Security FICA tax on every dollar you make. If you make over $176,100, you stop paying FICA tax. And what's happened over the last many decades since 1980, average wages have been stagnant, adjusted for inflation. So wages have been stagnant. So we've been paying pretty much the same, but the country's been making tons of money. But the problem is that money goes to the top and it goes outside of what people pay into FICA. So all that money that should have come to regular people because we're the ones that, actually deliver the packages and all the rest of it, um, it we should have been paying higher FICA because we're making more money. But we haven't been making more money because wages have been stagnant and that money has been going out of that FICA cap. And that's why Social Security is in a big mess right now. So if we just smashed that cap and got rid of that cap, so everybody in the country pays the same FICA, then 73% of the problem would be solved. We just need to find, a few percent other in other places. How do we do that? You reach out to your politician. So Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, doesn't matter. Again, I we're part of the Social Security Party. We want to strengthen Social Security. So reach out to your politician. This is how you do it. You call the switchboard, you call the president, go onto their website, go onto their social media, and tell them, hey, smash the cap. What are you doing to improve customer service? Because this is a cut happening right now. People aren't able to get in. They're filing for the wrong benefits at the wrong time. Therefore, they're receiving the wrong benefits and the wrong check, being cuts. So the cuts are happening right now. And then ask them, okay, if you're not going to smash the cap, what are you going to do to make sure, I who vote in your district don't get cuts in the next few years? What are you actually doing? And so a few people have already reached out and they send me the emails. And yes, they are pretty much just boilerplate responses from their particular political leaders. And I am going to put those together and I'll make a video about that. And I'll tell you how to retort to their messages. And a lot of say, well, we've got the 2036 trillion dollar, deficit, and that's an issue and has nothing to do with Social Security. Social Security has nothing to do with that 36 trillion. Social Security is self-financed. The money that comes in today essentially goes out tomorrow. And again, but that gap is the Social Security Trust Fund that we need to address. All right. So we definitely need to get in there. And because we see, you look at the millennials, they're about 80%, because this is a concerted effort over the last several decades. And again, I blame both sides, Democrats and Republicans. With the Social Security Fairness Act, that's a perfect example. President Biden's signed the Social Security Fairness Act, and he says this is to protect Social Security and expand Social Security. That's all BS. It wasn't. They politicians, frankly, sorry, old Marine Corps sergeant here, they think we're stupid. And so, all right, I'm going to stop there. But yeah, Biden signed it. Why did he sign it right now, just a few days before Trump took office? Because President Trump was going to sign it. President-elect Trump was going to sign it. It was a bipartisan support by Democrats and Republicans and Biden and Trump. So inevitably it was going to be signed. And Biden says, well, rather than have Trump sign it and get the credit, I'll go ahead and sign it and I'll tell people and expand Social Security. And if Trump would have signed it, then he would have said, I expanded Social Security. See, I'm here to protect Social Security, but it does nothing to expand Social Security. It's all, I've made several videos on this. It just gives a very, very small percentage of government employees an extra percentage more than anybody else in comparable work. That's it. So it's pretty much BS. Okay, so the U.S. population, 334 million. Social Security, there's 72 million of us out there on Social Security, 65 million. So that is the Social Security and Medicare party that we need to address. And there's 10,000 people turning 65 every single day in the United States. This is, the greatest kind of the silver tsunami in U.S. history. So, so we need to join together, stop having politicians divide us and attack each other, and we need to join together and actually do something to protect Social Security and Medicare. And by calling and being active and knowing and subscribing and liking and sharing and all that kind of good stuff. So all right, let's get out there and get this done so we don't get cuts in the future and we protect our children's ability to get their Social Security. Okay, Shannon says, will Dr. Ed be able to address death benefits for a widow and how to apply for survivors' Social Security and other benefits or pays out to assist with future living or funeral arrangements. I'll take the very last part first. Funeral arrangements. Wow. It's since for decades and decades and decades, the only thing Social Security provides for that is a lump sum death payment of $255. It's pretty shameful. I've issued hundreds of thousands of those checks, and nobody was like, "Wow, it's $255." Like a scene out of Eddie Murphy's Trading Places. For those of you seen that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, but survivor benefits, you cannot file for any of these online. They haven't put the survivor application online yet, so you actually have to call and schedule an appointment. And good luck with trying to get in nowadays. So survivor benefits. Those are the calculation for survivor benefits are rather difficult. It depends on when the deceased actually started benefits. If they started benefits, if they were on disability, there's a little bit calculations different on each one of those. But let's say your deceased spouse filed at their full retirement age or didn't file at all, and you start your survivor benefits at your full retirement age. There's a different full retirement age for survivor benefits. So Social Security is crazy busy, crazy difficult. It's over 20,000 pages of policy. So if deceased started benefits at a full retirement age or never started receiving benefits or were receiving disability benefits, and you as the surviving spouse file for benefits at your full retirement age, you will get 100% of what they were receiving minus your own. So if you're receiving $1,000 and their benefit was 2,000, you'll continue to get your 1,000 plus an extra 1,000 on top of that for the $2,000. So that's how that's calculated. All right. If you collect unemployment, that's going to be zero for that year as part of your 35 years, right? Correct. Unemployment is not considered earned income or net employment, net income from self-employment or anything. So yes, it'll be zero if that's all you get for that particular year. I have MS. Wow. And the Social Security scheduled a psychological internist and ophthalmology appointments. I'm currently on state disability and IHSS. Okay, are you the one doing IHSS or are you the one receiving IHSS? If you're the one actually doing that, actually working, that's considered work. And so that might be difficult to file for disability benefits. But yeah, it sounds like you have what's called a CE, a consultative exam, where you're going, Social Security says, hey, we got all your medical records. We looked at it, but we've got some questions. So we want you to go see one of the Social Security contracted doctors. So make sure you keep that appointment. So if you don't, then yeah, it's could be an automatic denial. Let's see. Postal workers are getting a pension and Social Security. Is their Social Security benefit amount will be reduced because of their pension? As of last week, no. That's the Social Security Fairness Act. Again, I would argue it's unfair, and politicians kind of played us for fools. And there's a lot of people out there that kind of fell for it. So, but not viewers of this channel. For those that say place a FICA tax on every dollar leaders spend won't dissuade them. They will just cover out. Yeah, I've heard some social media people out there talking about this. It's like, oh, here's an idea. They'll say, okay, hey, we're going to give $1 billion to build this bridge. And because we have to give 7% of that to FICA, then we'll just charge 100, billion, and plus we'll add the 7%. And so we're still going to pay the same. Actually, we're going to pay more because we're going to build that in as the cost. So yeah, that was I've got in my YouTube description, I've got all the dozens and dozens and dozens of proposals to make sure you don't get cuts in your Social Security. It's in the Social Security Actuaries report in my YouTube description. And the one that is the most popular and the one I personally recommend, and most of the viewers on my channel recommend, is to smash the cap. But again, the problem with that is, it's easy to do. Social Security is super easy to fix. Takes 10 minutes. Easy to fix, so we don't get cuts in our benefits here for a long time for our children. But what makes it difficult is the people that are going to pay more are the people in charge, the millionaires and the billionaires. So they're basically voting against their self-interest, their own budget, their own bottom line, and of their buddies on Wall Street and all the other billionaires. So yeah, so it's going to be a tough battle, but we have to take up the sword, I guess. Not literally, but anyway, Shakespearean, I guess. I collect Social Security on my own record, which is affected by the WEP. When I initially filed, my spouse's information was included in the application. How can I be sure the claim is based on my spouse's record? Um, yeah, I did a video on this yesterday talking about the Social Security Fairness Act, which again, I think it's all BS. It's not fair for the 97%, but being an old Marine, that's the law now. So I gave everybody a bunch of pointers of how to make sure they get everything they're now entitled to. But giving your spouse's information during the claims process and actually filing your spouse filing a claim are two different things. So you might have just said, yes, my spouse is, this is her name, this is or his or her name. This is the person's, social security number, and we've been married this long and stuff like that. That's not an application. So if your spouse has not actually filed an application, and the person would know because they would receive a decision letter in the mail that says, "Hey, here's your benefit amount." So if your spouse is receiving benefits based on your WEPT PIA, the recalculated primary insurance amount, then you don't have to do anything. That'll be all automatic once the Social Security lawyers figure out all the details, and then they program the computer system to kick out those benefits. But unfortunately, as I talked about yesterday, there's a lot of people that are going to be falling through the cracks, and that's why I go back to the video yesterday. Share, subscribe. Anybody that you know was married that worked for one of these non-covered entities, a state, local, city, the federal government before in the 1980s. Anybody that worked there, or anybody was married to anybody that worked at those type of entities, because there might be some more benefits coming to you, and you need to make sure you get it. So let's see, Charlene, a married couple. She's 60 and receives SSDI. He's full retirement age and receiving his retirement currently. His is over half hers. Should she apply for the difference? Why does she need to wait until 62? Because I assume he is not deceased. The only time she can receive benefits at 60 is if the spouse is deceased, which doesn't sound like is the case. So everybody has to wait till 62 for just regular benefits. So, but you are looking out for someone else, and we always like that. So good on you. Awesome. Reminder, Decta. Okay, won't be able to see. Okay, yes. Yeah, before I start, I can't see the questions before. Let's see here. Autoimmune diseases that attack the neurological system like MS can have all sort of effects. Yeah, and if you're applying for disability, the more things they can find wrong, the more evidence you have. Yes, thank you. Take into it. Yeah, MS is very difficult, to diagnose and show those diagnoses, and yeah, they're kind of difficult, but persevere. Yes. The general public do not know about the Fairness Act. When told, they are outraged because these people bragged about not paying into Social Security. Yeah, they again they paid into Social Security. Fair. They paid into Social Security, but not in the primary job where they work for the government. So somebody did a video where they challenged these people receive up to 90%, and this person said no, not 90%. Well, up to 90%, but yeah, if you were a lawyer, you went to law school, and while in law school, you worked at daddy's law firm and got $50,000 a year for 10 years, and then you worked for the state or the government or something, and you work, for the next 40 years, making, two, three, four, $500,000 a year. Guess what? When you go to file Social Security, you're going to get a 90% return, just like you've been poor all your life and taking food stamps. So someone that's making millions of dollars, got a pretty good pension, I'm sure, making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, is going to get a 90% replacement rate. So, and anybody else in the same position would probably get about a 30% replacement rate. So that particular example, that person is getting 3 times more than someone equal to them. So, yes, it is possible. So, and that's what's completely unfair about it. Let's see. I collect Social Security on my own. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So Please, yeah, let's one question at a time. My mother is a green card holder and not worked in the USA. Is she eligible for any SSI benefits in California? Okay, so yeah, the California SSI Supplemental Security Income is a welfare-based program. It's a national program administered by the Social Security Administration. That money does not come out of the Social Security Trust Fund. That's general revenue. Um, but it really depends on her status. If you sponsored her as part of their sponsoring process, you said, I will take care of my parent when they come over for 5 years and they will not be a burden on the system. So there's all kinds of different situations like that. So definitely check it out. Your SSDI amount is what you would get at full retirement. That is correct, Robert. Yes. So if you are 55 years old or 60 years old and you file and are approved for Social Security disability insurance, your benefit amount would be your benefit amount at your full retirement age. And people say, no, because I looked in my statement, I'm 55 years old, and on my statement it says I'm going to be making $3,000. But when I was approved for disability, I only got like 2,300. That's because when the Social Security online statements project your future. So if you're 55 years old and you're making, 30, 40, $50,000 a year, Social Security, the system looks at that and says, hey, we project this person to make 20, 30, $40,000 ahead in the future for the next 10, 15 years. And that's how they come up with a $3,000. If you stop working at 55, then yeah, your benefits are going to be completely different. Let's see. Can my friend still collect on a death benefit from his wife who passed in 2016? The death benefit, or are we talking about the lump sum death benefit, the $255? Usually not. There's a kind of a statute of limitations about 2 years. But in terms of regular monthly benefits, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter when they passed away. As long as your friend, number one, wild one, thank you for looking out for other people. This is what this channel is all about. So share and all that kind of stuff. So if you're at least 60 years old, you're not working, you haven't been remarried, you can remarry after 60, and you were married to that person for at least 10 years. If it's a divorce type situation, you were married to the person for at least 9 months. If they were still, married when that person passed, yes. If all the other qualifications apply, doesn't matter how long ago they passed. So. Oma, can you explain when someone who was married for over 10 years between two marriages, are they eligible for the Fairness Act? Yes, it just like anything else. If you were married, this is what happens when you go into Social Security and you file for benefits on your own record. They ask you, have you ever been married to anybody for 10 years or longer that were married when they passed away? You can tell I've asked that question a million times. And they say, yeah, I was married to three times for 10 years or longer. And you say, okay, all right, let's go down the list. Number one, what was the person's name? And the employee the Social Security employee has to look at that person's benefit amount to see if there's any benefits there, extra benefits. Then they look at number two and they look at number three, and then they say, oh, okay, you're eligible for benefits on all three because you were married at least 10 years. And so it looks like number two is the most. So let's file for benefits on number two. All right. So yes. And then that is the thing I talked about, which Social Security is kind of keeping a tight lip about because they're waiting for their lawyers to digest, the HR 82, the law that was just passed by President Biden, is the fact that people went in there and filed and they were denied because of whatever, or they said, hey, I'm not going to make any money. I'm not going to get any extra benefits. I'm just not going to file. And so there's going to a lot of people that are going to fall through the cracks and not get the benefits they're entitled to. So if you don't mind, let's help these people. Some of these people are struggling, and go to the video I did yesterday and like and share and subscribe. We need to get a lot more people to watch those videos. So again, I don't think the act is anyway, but I won't anyway. Thanks for all you're doing. I am working full time and will be 70 on June 15th. What is the earliest specific date I could start my Social Security to get the maximum DRC? The June. Start your benefits in June. Your benefits don't go up anymore based on delaying on July. And so you will get your max delayed retirement credit starting June. So about a month, 2 months, 3 months before June, file online, schedule an appointment, whatever the case may be. If you're still working full time, not sure whether you got Medicare. They will start Medicare Part A automatically once you start benefits. If you've already signed up for Medicare, to sign up for the actual money benefits will be easy because once you sign up for Medicare, or once you file a claim with Social Security, you initial claim, you have to do all the difficult part, prove your age and all that kind of stuff. So if you already have Medicare, at least A, then you've already done the difficult stuff. So to turn on the money will be super, super easy. But if you're continuing to work, then and you have health insurance from work, you're happy with it, they're not making you sign up for Part B, your employer has 20 or more employees, then when you sign up for the actual money, you can refuse Part B again. And once you stop working, then you sign up for Part B, and there's no penalty. And Part D, the prescription drug plan. And if you need help, you can reach out to my partners there at Chapter. Now is the open enrollment period. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan right now, you can switch it. You can say, "Oh, I picked the wrong one, and my doctor's no longer covering this. My doctor no longer takes this plan. The local hospitals drop in this plan. I don't like it. I realize it's I've signed up for the wrong one." You can actually switch it. You have kind of a mulligan, a do-over. So January, February, March. If you do it now, then your new plan will start February 1st, and a Chapter can help you out there. But I always, always, always recommend checking out a Medicare supplement too. So if you want to switch your Medicare Advantage, when you reach out to Chapter, say, tell me about Medicare Plan N and Plan G. Let me see if I can switch back to that. Because yeah, you don't have to deal with the prior authorizations and the networks and stuff, but there is a monthly premium for those. So that's why 50% of Americans choose a Medicare Advantage. Well, not because of the premium, because Medicare insurance agents like to push Medicare Advantage, which I think is a wrong. Yeah, so it's for some people, but not for everybody. So penalties, penalties, penalties. Yes, if I get caught in the Medicare Part D and Part A penalties, losing dollars for life, can't I call Medicare and file for an appeal? Sure, you can, but it'll be denied. Surely they got to know I am not an agent. Yes, unfortunately, but yeah, it's kind of like I didn't know I could not do 150 on in a school zone. Um, but yeah, yeah, you're going to get the penalties, unfortunately. Yeah, a lot of people have appealed it, and nobody's ever won. So what he's talking about is if you don't sign up for Medicare when you're supposed to. Again, if you've got an exception that you've got health insurance and work and all that I just mentioned, then you don't have to sign up. But if you don't sign up when you're supposed to, you're going to get a penalty for life for Part B, as in Bravo, and Part D as in drugs. And the Part B is 10% for every 12 months you did not have Part B. Or for Part D, the drug one, it's 1% for every month you didn't. And what happens is a lot of Medicare insurance agents, when they sign you up for a Medicare supplement, great. So number one, they did the right thing there by telling you those things actually do exist. So, and if you're good with the premium and all that, then you go ahead and sign up for a Medicare supplement. But a lot of times, then they say, okay, now we need to sign you up for a prescription drug plan, and you say, I don't take drugs, I don't want one, and they say, okay, bye, which they shouldn't do. They should say, okay, however, if you don't sign up for one, I understand you don't take any drugs, but if you don't sign up for one now and you do later, next year or 2 years from now, 1% penalty for the rest of your life. And people ask, why the penalty? Because it's a pooled risk in every insurance. Why do I have to pay car insurance when I don't intend on having a car this year, or an accident this month? Because I'm paying for all the people that do have accidents. So why do I have to pay for Part B when I don't intend to get sick this month? Because there's a lot of people that are sick. So I got a letter from Social Security. Hey, what's up, Nelson? Social Security telling me they approved my medical part of the disability, and now I'm waiting for non-medical part. Okay, perfect. Yep. So what happens? You filed for disability at your local Social Security office or filed online. Same thing. They review it, they check it, make sure it's all cool and copacetic. Then they send it up to DDS, the Disability Determination Service. They do the medical part, and then once they do the medical part, then they send it back to the local office for adjudication. So, yeah. So as long as you're still, insured and all that kind of stuff, then if you've been approved medically, then you should be good, unless the Social Security employee messed up and sent a technical denial to DDS, which I used to go when I was the one who used to have to go down to my employees and say, "Okay, why'd you do that?" So, but anyway, but you should be good. Not many people make that mistake. Let's face it, they can fund it. Yes, exactly. They don't want to tax the rich people who want you to be a slave for leverage. It's too obvious to not address the elephant in the room at this point. Yes, it's we've been kicking the can down the road for way, way, way too long, and basically, this is instill fear, scare tactics, and then they ignore the problem. They tell you that they ignore the problem and they ignore the solutions that are going to save Social Security. They delay, 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 wait for a crisis. The crisis is upon us. We don't do something this year or next year, then the cuts, it's too late to do anything. And then they appoint particular people in particular positions of power. Let's say the Social Security Commissioner, the new one, perhaps from Wall Street. Yes, new one's from Wall Street, first time in a long, long time. Office of Management and Budget wants to privatize Social Security, got a bunch of politicians, and then they propose an amendment to privatize Social Security. And Bill Cassidy, senator, said he's going to do that this term and give $1.5 trillion of your Social Security savings to Wall Street. And then the only last piece of the puzzle that they need is a president to sign it. And President-elect Trump said he's not going to cut benefits and he's not going to raise the retirement age. Was awesome, perfect, awesome. But what are you going to do to stop the cuts? So they just might. I've got a solution. We're going to give it to Wall Street, and that will solve everything. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but we're going to make sure that. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen. Do you have to pay FICA on non-taxable income? I'm not an IRS person, so I kind of avoid those type of things. But you have to pay FICA on earned income. You have to pay FICA on net income from business. So some clergy, they don't pay FICA. They kind of vow of poverty type situation. There's an act in Congress now that says clergy can choose, one or the other. So, so I would reach out to your tax person on that one. Will Social Security seriously exhaust and are illegals being given Medicare or other health insurance? Social Security might disappear, right? Social Security won't disappear, but the trust fund is being depleted, and the trust fund was put there for a reason. Just like if you save up for your your kids' college education, and then it's like, okay, 18 years old now, I'm going to college. Okay, here's the money for college. And you're like, wow, the money's disappearing. Yeah, that's because it was intended for your kids' college education. Same thing on the Social Security Trust Fund. It was meant for the baby boomers, 76 million people that were born between 1946 and 1964. They put that money in the savings. We put that money in the savings, the trust fund, and now it's being used. $70 billion was being used. It was taken out last year, the trust fund, and given in your checks. So the trust fund it's in your check, basically. And Medicare, no. Medicare, Social Security, this is another thing politicians use to divide us, but we're smarter than that. In order to get Social Security, retirement, disability, Medicare, you have to pay into the system and you have to have proof you're in this country legally. So, we need to stop falling for these distractions. And we need to focus on the real issues. So, hi, Doc. My ex-husband passed away 2012. I'm 60 and on SSDI. Since I found out about survivor benefits recently, but remarried 5 years ago, did I lose this? Yes, unfortunately, because you remarried before the age of 60. So, but I I have to add this: if you're single, then you're eligible for those survivor benefits. Let's say that. Okay. Let's say finally got some real answers to the question I've been asking. Years of misinformation from Social Security, hours on hold and in office hangups. Called my local congressman. Action. There we go. That's what you do right there. And again, is when you're on hold for hours on the phone trying to set an appointment or ask questions or whatever the case may be. Go on to your politician's website and they have a little button there that says, I need help with a federal agency. And while you're sitting there on hold listening to the music, then open that thing on your laptop and say, hey, what do I need help with the federal agency? I need them to pick up the darn phone. And how do they pick up the phone? Is they get staff to help me. How do they get staff to help the public? Politicians give them resources. Right now, Social Security is at a 50-year low in terms of staffing. So they've had the least amount of staffing in 50 years right now. And like I said, the baby boomers are upon us. Let me pop this up here. So you see the red line, that is staffing going up to 2024. Slowly going down. But see the other bar in the back? That is actually beneficiaries. That's actually people. As I mentioned, 10, 11,000 people every day are turning 65. So there's more and more and more demand, but less and less staff to help. And that is a conscious decision by politicians to do exactly that, to essentially kill Social Security, death of 1,000 cuts, and make you hate Social Security because you're, oh, well, then I'd pick up the phone. Forget about it. Let's just go ahead and give it to Wall Street. And politicians are like, excellent. That's exactly what our plan was. It's coming to fruition. So, but we're smarter than that. Do folks on SSDI get CDRs done after age of 62? Yeah, you can get, I've seen people get CDRs at, 65, 66, 67. It's like, yeah. So whatever your cycle is, sometimes the computer just kicks out the CDR package, the continuing disability report package, and sends it out. So, but don't sweat it until you actually get it because, it's a computer generated thing and it's a budget issue. If the office has the budget to do a CDR and they need more, they do more. If they don't have that budget, even if it's your time, you don't get it because they don't have the budget to do it. So yeah, that's nothing you should worry about. Just go on with your life. And when you go out to the mailbox and the CDR package is there or you get it in the email, then you got it. If not, don't worry about it. My mom is 78 and on SSI and Medicaid. She is also totally deaf. So, how are all these going to affect her? Okay, so she's on SSI and Medicaid. Yeah, so I just talked about this a couple of days ago. There's a part of the next administration's plan is to cut back on Medicaid, about a 40% funding cut for Medicaid. So it's going to be tough. So we need to reach out to our politicians and take care of, kind of the less fortunate. But SSI is supplemental security income, so she gets a benefit from there. And then because she's on SSI, she's categorically eligible for Medicaid in most states, so she gets their Medicaid. If she's eligible for Medicare, she can get the Medicare as well, so she can have Medicaid and Medicare. You can have both of those. And then if you have Medicare and Medicaid, then I do recommend a Medicare Advantage plan in most cases because those are the ones with the extra, you see the grocery cards, $100, $200 extra a month and stuff like that. So if she has Medicare and Medicaid, you can reach out to Chapter and they can see if there's one available in your neck of the woods. You have helped many of my colleagues at work. Thank you. Oh, Harry, I appreciate it. Thank you. No, you have helped out a bunch of colleagues at work by telling them about the channel and stuff like that. So this is a team effort. I'm just some idiot blabbing on for an hour pretty much every day. Y'all are the ones that get the information out there. So Ellen should pay the same percentage as a regular person. I agree 100%. And what's interesting is people, they say, well, if they pay more, they will get more. But as regular viewers of my channel know, Social Security, how much your benefit is based on these bin points, where, as I mentioned, if you're low income, you can get up, 90% replacement rate, 90% of what you paid into Social Security on a monthly basis. So if your average income throughout your life is like $1,000 a month, when you file for Social Security, you'll get $900. If your average income throughout your life is $10,000 a month, you'll receive about 35% replacement rate, less than half. And so if Elon pays, then we should add another bin point, instead of 90, 30, 90%, 32%, and 15%, we can add, a fourth bin point. It's, point 0.0000001%. And then, name a dog park after them or something. I don't know. If you have to pay Medicare tax on all your income, so why not? Okay, yes, Wayne, you guys are awesome. That's what I was kind of getting to, but I lost my track of thought. But you're right on it. And yes, Medicare, the 1.45%. If you make $1 million, you pay the 1.45%. Plus, if you're self-employed, you also pay the other 1.45%. And actually, they actually on all your income. So, but for Social Security, FICA, you only pay up to 176,100. But for Medicare, you pay out on all your income. Plus, there's an extra 0.9% that you pay on any income over $250,000. But the problem with the super rich is, they don't pay taxes at all because they don't take money out usually. They just, have this enormous wealth of assets, and then they go to a bank and draw and get a loan, 1 or 2% loan on those assets, and then they just live on the loan. And because it's a loan, they don't pay taxes and they never take anything out. So yeah, so they pay very, very small amount of taxes. So yes, please mash the cap. Get rid of the cap. Yep. So I agree 100%. Helena, can I collect child support off my daughter's father's SSI? No, not on SSI. That's a welfare-based program. Either one of us have been married. He's 65, I'm 62, daughter 42. I'm not collecting yet. Don't know about him. He hadn't worked in years. Okay, you're probably not talking about SSI, the welfare-based program. You're probably just talking about Social Security. People confuse those all the time. Okay, child support, that's a whole separate issue. You need to go to court for child support. But in terms of Social Security, um, so daughter is 42. If your daughter became disabled before the age of 22, she should file for disabled adult child benefits. And if she has or whatever, and she would file for those disabled adult child benefits on one of her parents' records, either you or him. You're not collecting. So if he's collecting, then she can collect benefits off of him 50% if he's still out there alive and kicking, 75% as a surviving child, but has to be disabled before the age of 22. Politicians aren't going to smash a cap they benefit from. Yeah, it's going to be a tough battle, but yeah, we have to try, right? Yeah, that's what Biden and Harris, their plan was, to have it the same up to $250,000, 6.2%, and then from 250 to 400,000, there's no extra. And then from 400,000 above, then everybody pays the same FICA tax, and it's a FICA tax. So I think that was kind of a political thing to not raise the burden on the middle class. So for political reasons, but unfortunately, that did not pass at all. It didn't go anywhere. But we have to keep trying. So you know, that's the politicians' secret weapons to divide us and to make us cynical. And it's like, well, it's not, they're not going to do it. It's not going to do it. It's, the old, the bad luck schleprock and Flintstones, wowsy, wowsy, woo woo. Right. So anyway, I'm dating myself way, way too much. Did you ever consider is at 176,000 because Congress makes that much and more? They want to pay into it after the 100. How convenient for them. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just on their, their congressional pay with all the other money they make in sponsorships and yes, sponsorships, whatever. If I approve for federal employment disability, does Social Security recognize me as disabled so I can apply for widow's benefits at 54 instead of 60? Can I get federal disability plus receive Social Security widow's benefits without any offset? Social Security doesn't have the offset. The federal, the OPM might have an offset, but you'll have to talk to them. But yeah, if you, it is not an automatic thing. If you're disabled, you can file for what's called, you can file for benefits on your own record, disability. Or you can, sounds like what you're talking about is called DWIB, disabled widows benefits. So if you were married to someone and they passed away and you're a disabled widow, then you can file for those disabled widows benefits, which is basically you're filing for benefits on that person's record. Um, but if you're a federal employee, that I don't know, you'd have to check to see if. Yeah, but file for Social Security disability on your own record, and then also see if you are eligible for those disabled widows benefits. JJ, I am a middle age 45, make a good living. I feel for the elderly, disabled, poor who live in fixed incomes. When the new administration is in and tariffs hit, it is going to hurt all of those groups. Yes. Tariffs, we pay those tariffs. Those are just extra surcharges on anything that we get that is imported from, I guess, Canada, Mexico, China, wherever the case may be. Yeah. And that's when I threw up the little chart about future cuts. And if you notice there, that as of right now, if nothing has changed, and by 2034, actually a little bit sooner now because the Social Security Fairness Act was passed, it's probably going to be about a year earlier and 1 or 2% more. But as of this chart, is 2034, 21% cuts. If the next administration gets some of the things they're trying to do, which is not tax Social Security, which is a good idea, but it's also going to deplete the Social Security Trust Fund sooner. And if they raise tariffs, it's also going to affect Social Security. How? COLAs. COLA is based on a basket of goods that the number crunchers pick. And if that basket of goods, inflation for those goods increases, then COLA increases, and that's more money out of the trust fund. So when the tariffs happen, so if it's a 10% tariff, then the COLA is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15%. And you're like, oh, awesome. Well, the reason the COLA is going to be that high is because inflation is that high, and more money is going to be taken out of the trust fund as a result of it. So yeah, and that's why it looks like the cuts will happen sooner and deeper if some of those policies are actually taken. But again, let's not play. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm part of the Social Security Party. Raise the cap. Raise the cap. Good. Good. Social Security says to me today, all spousal benefits, if qualified, are automatic. Do I take her word for facts? She said I need an appointment locally to have our records checked. Do we know they have his DD 214? Okay. Spousal benefits are automatic. Not necessarily. If you're talking about, obviously living spouse benefits, you have to file for spouse benefits. You file for benefits on your own record. And then if your spouse files or your ex-spouse is at least 62, then you actually have to manually file for those spouse benefits. What the person at Social Security is probably talking about is if you're receiving spouse benefits and then that number holder, the worker, passes away, if you're your full retirement age, they automatically switch from regular spouse benefits to surviving spouse benefits. You go from, up to 50% to up to 100%. That's automatic. If you're under your full retirement age, then it's not necessarily automatic. If you're not on your record already. So yeah, a lot of time it is automatic, but other times it isn't. Rocking my homestead. I just turned 60 and just started receiving SSDI. My ex is 4 years older. We were married for over 10 years. Not sure if he has filed for Social Security yet. Okay, can I file on his now? No, you have to be at least 62. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter whether that person is receiving Social Security benefits. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse. So when you're 62, you file for benefits on that person's record. And don't let Social Security tell you that, oh, that person has to be receiving benefits. No, as long as your ex is at least 62 years old and you've been divorced for at least 2 years, then you can file for benefits on their record. But yes. You talk about politicians need to stop dividing us, yet you are doing exactly that by your hatred for the employees that worked, that paid, and are finally getting what is rightfully theirs. I write a higher percentage than anybody else. I don't think is fair to the other 97%. So when I point out that the 3% from now on are going to be receiving a higher percentage than the other 97%. That's a fact. That is a fact. And I think the other 97% should start a Social Security Fairness Act 2.0 and say, hey, if you're giving this teacher or firefighter or an attorney or whoever, a police officer, a higher percentage than me, and we worked exactly the same, I mean, not sure how that's dividing. Let's just tell people the facts. The issue is why that movement that wanted to support the Social Security Fairness Act didn't educate people and teach them about the different percentages. Why did they keep that secret? Why did it? Yeah, that's the real question. So you really need to reach out to your leaders and find out, why didn't you ever tell us about the bin points and the percentages and all that stuff? And now that now we're getting a higher percentage than anybody else equal to us, including firefighters, police officers. Yeah, why didn't y'all ever tell us that? And they'll, you know, sure they'll say, well, because we wanted to keep our jobs. So the system is broken when you wait 2 hours to talk to a Social Security representative. Change is needed. Exactly. And let's not blame Social Security. They can only do what they can do in terms of resources. And people say, well, they've got bad employees. As an old district manager, I had about 100 employees, and sometimes you get an employee that doesn't have the great, bedside manner, but they're, really, really good in the details and know the information. They know that 20,000 pages backwards and forwards and upside down. And you're like, yeah, but they're, not very good. And I'd really like to have somebody else. But if I fire this person or whatever person, then I'm not going to get a replacement. Sure, this person is 70% good and they're 30% suck. But if I fire them, I don't get 70% of that work done because I can't replace them because Congress isn't allowing us to hire anybody. So that's one of the reasons, some bad employees are still there because their managers and everybody around them, their coworkers are like, this person needs to go. And they're like, yes, I agree. But are you going to take their workload? No, I don't. Okay, well then. But and again, that's a conscious decision by politicians to not support Social Security, and to make you hate Social Security, and they're doing a phenomenal job there. People deserve to get their Social Security retirement when they retired. I agree. No BS cuts. I agree. Social Security benefits should be enhanced for the people better deserve to have a wonderful life when they retire. I agree. 100%. Yes. Should I be concerned if I move out of the state after applying for SSDI? What could be the consequences? The only thing is, yeah, if you move out of the state, you have to get your case transferred because the disability decision offices, they are, state agencies. And yeah, so unfortunately, um, it depends what state you move to and the DDS, and how far behind they are in that particular office. But yeah, you need to call Social Security and tell them to transfer your case to your new state. And maybe your new state is quicker than your old state. But anyway, regarding death benefits, isn't there a life insurance plan called Final Expense? Yes. And I'm working on it with a company now that, by popular demand. So if you're looking for that, and click just email me, ed at MyGovExpert, and I'll forward your information, and they'll see if they can help you out with death benefits or final expense, because $255 just doesn't do it. So let's see, dip with the rest of the market, but book value. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah. Let's see. What do you think about hiring reemployed Social Security annuitants on a temporary basis to help with Social Security backlog? Do you think Congress would approve? Yeah, I've done that in my office. We had several reemployed annuitants. Basically, what it is someone works for Social Security, and then they retire, and then after a week or a month or a year, they say, hey, I'm bored, I want to do something. And then Social Security can kind of hire them back on a kind of a temporary basis. I did that several times in my office, which helped out with customer service. So it was awesome. But the office, Social Security has to have funding to do that. I think it's an awesome idea because I know a lot of retired Social Security employees that want to do it again, that want to get back in there and help out and stuff. But their Social Security just doesn't have a budget to bring them back in. So yeah, reach out to Social Security, reach out to your politicians and say, hey, what are you doing, politicians, to help improve the customer service at our local office, the office right down the street from you? So. Or try to file it online. Do they have? Okay, somebody answered someone else's question. If I take out some money on my 401k, I know I have to pay taxes on it. The question is, will that increase on my 30 years highest income? No, because it's not considered work. Nope. Let's see. They tried not to deposit it. It took me 6 to 7 months to get, and only happened after a House representative contacted their office, and I contacted SSI OAG. Yeah, so, I think, everybody should reach out to the politician now, but yes, but if you have an issue that really needs to be addressed, they're taking too long on your case, they lost your case, or, you disagree or something like that, you reach out to your politician. It's called a congressional. So you go on, you call your congressperson, the senator, House representative, or whoever, and you say, "Hey, I need help with this." And what happens is you push the button there. The help with a federal agency. If you do it online, you push the button. It goes essentially to Baltimore, the headquarters of Social Security, and Baltimore sends it out to whatever region, and the region, and it goes down to the local office where your case is being handled. And then in my office, we had to respond back within 24 or 48 hours of what was going on with the case. That we called the person, and here's we discussed this, that, and the other, and so yeah, so congressional on anything like that. And when you do that, ask them those questions. Do you support raising the cap? What are you doing to make sure the cuts don't happen in the future? And what are you doing to improve customer service at our local office? So, yes. Hey, love the channel. Nice. Wow. Yes, they argued about my full retirement age. People are missing out, especially on Survivor, because it's an earlier full retirement age. Bring everyone here for the answers. Yes. I wonder if this is a person I just talked to a few days ago about this. Yes. Full retirement age for Survivor benefits is a few months earlier than full retirement age for retirement or spouse benefits. Why? Because, well, you can file for Survivor benefits early at 60. Everything else, 62. Um, but but what a lot of people miss and Social Security miss is the full retirement age for the annual earnings limit, the 23,400 and all that stuff is the same as everybody else's. It is not a different full retirement age for the actual early retirement money part of it. So there's more of us poor people on Social Security than there are billionaires laughing because they don't have to pay Social Security. That is a fact. Yes, that is a fact. 40% of Americans live on Social Security alone. So it's like, and the tax thing, they're going to talk about getting rid of Social Security taxes, which I agree with. It's awesome. Should never have been taxed. But if they get rid of tax, it's not going to help the 40% of people that are just living basically on Social Security alone because they don't pay taxes anyway. It's going to help, the higher earners that work other jobs or have 401ks and stuff like that. And it's actually going to work. It's going to hurt the 40% that are just living on Social Security alone because cuts are going to come sooner and they're going to be deeper. So the poor people go out there, oh, no tax on Social Security. This is awesome, awesome, and great, great, great. And it's like, okay, number one, you don't pay taxes on Social Security. Number two, that's going to hurt you soon. It's going to hurt you more, the most. So let's see. If I want to file for Social Security end of 2025, how long should I wait to make sure all of 2025 is counted? Well, 2025 won't be counted until you file your taxes in 2026, but don't worry about that. If you want to file your benefits, December of this year, file your benefits. And then when you do your taxes next year for 2025, then IRS will tell Social Security and they'll recalculate. So you won't be losing anything. I'm receiving my ex-husband's survivor benefits at 60. I'm now 65. Is my first husband's Social Security? Can I take his if it's more than my ex-husband's who passed, or I want to work till full retirement? Wow, a lot of things going on there. Yeah, if you have another spouse that is more money, your first spouse, usually if that, if a spouse um, is still alive, then you get up to 50%. If they're deceased, you get up to 100%. So usually there's more money on the deceased, usually, but their work record is, obviously you have to take that into consideration. But yeah, if you're now eligible for benefits on another person and those are higher benefits, yes, absolutely switch. Okay, let's see here. Michael, my wife and I divorced in 2009, and she moved her boyfriend in. We live in Maryland, and we were married 23 years, and she was 60 when the boyfriend murdered. Wow, can I get spousal benefits? Yeah, if you were married to that person yeah, you were married to 23 years, and you're at least 60 years old. And yes, I would definitely check it out and see if any benefits on that person's record. Again, you need to be 60 years old, single, or if you're over 60, you're married after 60. But yeah, I would definitely see if there's any more money on that record. Absolutely. So you call Social Security and say, "Hey, I want to file for survivor claim on this particular person's record." So all right, we are at over an hour, and we got to cut it off here. I got tons of questions. I will be back again tomorrow. Don't know what I'll talk about tomorrow, but oh, T-Bone, thank you very much for the support. I know YouTube will take a piece. Maybe you can get a coffee. Thanks for helping so much. You're welcome. Thank you. You're awesome. Appreciate it. Yes, got my coffee IV for the day, so I'll come up with a topic to talk about for tomorrow, and then I'll answer a bunch of questions. Y'all take care. Have a